What's up? So I just want to make a quick little video, and this time it will be quick, I hope, about when you should think about doing a 3 turn or a 4 turn in hammer. Alright, so first we'll go over which one's which. I know it's kind of obvious. A 3 turn is when you do 3 turns in the hammer and release, and a 4 turn is when you do 4 turns in a release and hammer. But let's get into one other thing as well with those. So a 3 turn, you usually start with a heel, heel, heel. So you start with a heel turn. 4 turn, you usually start with a 4 turn. Now why? Because a heel turn takes up more space in the ring, and because if you're a 3 turner, you have one less turn to get across the ring. So that's why you would start with a heel. The reason you start with a toe turn in the first turn is one, because it's slower. Two, because it doesn't take up as much space, so you can fit an extra turn in the ring. And three is because you don't have to start as fast if you do a toe turn. All right. So those are the basics of what those are and why they're different. All right. So let's start with the 3 turn. I believe there are a couple situations where you should be a 3 turner. All right. And one is for a beginner. And I mean a beginner like a first year. And this is just my personal belief, and from what I've seen that's worked really well, is that I find that most people in their first year find really good success 3 turning their first year instead of 4 turning. And here's why I believe why. One, I believe it teaches you how to really accelerate the hammer. Two, you don't have to really think about fouling. It's very rare that I see a 3 turner foul in hammer in terms of like falling out the ring. Like, well, not falling out the ring, but like foot fouling and stuff. Three, I mean, it's just one less thing to think about. It's one less thing, like one less turn to think about. Four, it's just easier for a beginner to understand 3 than 4. And two, not as many things can go wrong in a 3 turn as a 4 turn. The toe turn is a little harder to get down at first, and yeah, so that's why the first situation is I believe a beginner should be a 3 turner. And what I mean by beginner is like a first year. Once it's like your second year, you can be a 4 turner, or you can be a 4 turner your first. If you're picking up the hammer really quick, be a 4 turner. But we'll get to that in a minute. All right. So the second reason why you could be a 3 turner, and this one might be a little controversial, but I believe if you're going to be a weight thrower and a hammer thrower, I believe a 3 turn is good to do them both. One, because not many people 4 turn and hammer. You usually see people in weight throw. Most people don't 4 turn and weight throw. And for those of you who don't know, weight throw is the indoor equivalent of hammer, really. Um, you know, really the only countries that really do is the U.S. that really compete in it. I don't think Europe or anywhere else really does it. They do it like sometimes, but you don't really see them do it. It's probably why they're better at hammer than the U.S. for a long time. But that's a different video. If you want to find out why a true hammer thrower probably shouldn't do weight throw, Sean Donnelly's video about it is good. Just type in Sean Donnelly weight throw, and he has probably the first thing that pops up is why you shouldn't throw weight. Obviously, I mean, if you're in the collegiate system and you're being forced to, I mean, you don't have any option. But so I know like most people, at least colleges, unless you're competing for like indoor nationals or something, really don't care about weight throw. I'm gonna be completely honest, because usually the indoor season is pretty short, and it just sucks to throw weight. Some people like it, but a lot of people just don't. So yeah, that's another reason, really. So the second reason, to sum up, is if you're gonna be a weight throw and hammer thrower, it's just easier to be a 3 turner in both. Most people don't 4 turn unless in weight, unless they're like a pro hammer thrower like Brooke Anderson or something, or Deanna Price. Most people really don't. and they just really just do that for whenever you see these pros do weight throws, mostly for a paycheck. I'm going to be completely honest. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. All right. And that's also why you see a lot of pro shot putters and stuff like Krauser and Kovacs and Tom Walsh go into these meets because they know they'll win and they'll just get a paycheck. They're not like peaking for anything really. I mean, like they'll do like a little peak for like nationals and stuff, but really, like, let's be real here, they're just doing it for a paycheck. All right. So, but whatever. That's totally a different subject. I'm not saying they don't care or anything, but there's a reason why historically a lot of really good people don't compete in indoors unless they do like one meet just to qualify for like indoor world champs, and then just to win an indoor world championships. But whatever. Oh yeah, the third reason why I believe you should be a three-turner is your athletic capabilities. And what I mean by that is usually a three-turner, a true three-turner, I mean by that is someone who does a three-turn in competition, like, Yuri Sadiq. If you notice someone like Yuri Sadiq, I'll just use him as an example, because he's the best three-turner ever and arguably the best hammer thrower of all time. If you those you who don't know who that is, one, read a book. He's the world record holder in men's hammer, 86-meter thrower. If you don't know him, I don't know what to tell you. But if you look at him throwing, one, you could tell very athletic. Two, extremely explosive. Three, can move the crap out of the hammer. And four, is perfectly balanced and really technically sound. All right? So, I equate the three-turn hammer to like a glide shot putter. Or, yeah, a glide shot putter. I was going to say a non-reverse turn discus, but no, not really. That's different. But the reason why I compare the two is, one, because they actually are very similar in terms of why athletes would choose those. A glide or a three-turn. One, because usually three-turners are a little taller. Oh my god. Two, they both in terms of similarities are really explosive. And three, because they're really tall, they don't have to take up as much space in the ring. And honestly, it'd be detrimental to take up as much space. Now, I forget, I don't think Yuri Sadiq was that tall, so I could just be spewing crap. Actually, now I come thinking, I don't think he was that tall at all. I think he was like 6'1". Oh, whatever. I could be totally wrong. I haven't checked up his weight and, his height in a long time. But, that's just something I'll just do after this video because it's just going to bother me. But, yeah, you usually see those guys do that. But you also notice it takes very specialized athletes to be good at the three-turn and the glide. You have to be so explosive to be successful in them, all right? And also, you also see similarities in the fact that beginners usually start out with the glide and the three-turn, all right? So there's actually very similar correlations with the type of athletes who do glide and three-turn, all right? So that's just something to keep in mind too. So there's also another thing too, is that you usually see women three-turn and do glide. All right, and that's because, one, even if they're not that explosive, they're throwing a 4K implement in shot put and hammer. All right, and considering on how big, how strong, and how powerful the women are compared to the implement weight that they're throwing, they could just move it. I mean, like, you can, like, I've seen very, very, like, skinny women that aren't very strong can just move the crap out of a 4K hammer. All right, just because, I mean, like, if you're like 70 pounds, you can move the crap out of a 4K, all right? And it doesn't have to be that technically sound, and you can just move it, and you can get away with that with a woman's implement, especially in hammer shot put. But especially in hammer, You know, you could throw 50 meters with not really very much technique. You know, all you gotta do is just move the crap out of the ball and be balanced and finish in sector. And if you move it fast enough, you'll probably throw 50 meters. All right, I'm just saying. So, historically speaking, a lot of women three turn. Now, there's been a shift in recent years about like, I mean, obviously there have been women that four turn throughout history, but for the most part, a lot of them have actually three turned and have pretty good success. Um, but now nowadays a lot of women are four turning, just like a lot of women are rotating nowadays. But I still believe that the foundational principles still apply here. You know, especially if you get like a woman in junior college. Um, like I'm coaching a woman right now that is extremely explosive, extremely athletic, can just move the crap out of the hammer. Not the most technically sound, though she's getting there. But I mean, she's already throwing like well beyond what I believe the competition she'll be facing is in her first year of throwing hammer. So, and she's doing a three turn. All right, so just like the glide, and I think I made a video about this, so why the glide isn't dead. I don't believe the three turn is dead either. I think it just takes the right athlete to be successful in them. I mean, how can I say the three turn is dead when the world record holder in men's hammer, that will probably never be broken really, is a three turner? You know, that would just be stupid of me to say. Um, just like the last woman to throw 21 meters that wasn't popped was a glider in terms of Valerie Adams. So, yeah. And the world record holder for women's shot, guess what, is a glider as well. Although, she was East German and it was the 80s, so it was just a product at the time. But we'll just gloss over that. So those are the reasons why you should be a three turner. Really, you do throw. Sorry about the blanket. It's chilly. But the four turn, you do throw further. Okay. So let's go over the advantages and disadvantages of the four turn. Okay, I think I explained pretty good the three turn. So the four turn. So why would you do a four turn? One, if you're not as athletic, a four turn may be better. And what I mean, not athletic, you have to be super athletic, dude. Just throwing and be like good. And what I mean by my definition of good is like a world class thrower. My definition of good and someone else's is not the same. All right. So to be a good hammer thrower or like a world class hammer thrower, just a thrower, you just got to be athletic. If anybody tells you that throwers are just fat and strong, they're dumb. All right. Look at professional throwers and Olympic level throwers. They're not fat. All right. I'm telling you that right now. Having seen them in person, having talked to them in person, having competed against them, they're not fat. All right. They're not slow. They're not athletic. They're probably some of the most athletic people on the entire planet. And if you want to at me. But the reasons you would do a four turn. Let's get back to the video. I always get sidetracked. Reason you do a four turn. One, because once you get good at it, it's easier to throw. And what I mean by that is that it's easier to set up the throw because you don't have to go as fast at the start. In the four turn, I like to think of the first turn as just the extension of your wind. So really, it's just like the same speed as your last wind. If you do two winds or three winds, and it's just to set up the throw. So it's a nice, easy. You can establish a lot more length because you're a toe turner. Because you can do a toe turn, you can get a lot more length out to establish a good long orbit. And you don't have to go nearly as fast as you do with a three turn. So you have more time to accelerate it. So it's a little easier and a little more consistent to be a four turner. All right. The other one is, because you're doing four turns, you have another turn to accelerate the ball. So theoretically, if you can handle it, it will go further than a three turn. All right. So there's some disadvantages. One, it's a little harder to learn. Two, there's another turn that can get things to go wrong. And usually the fourth turn is usually where people mess up. Just because, I mean, the speed that you're creating by the time you get to the fourth turn is immense if you're doing it correctly and you're accelerating the ball correctly. So, that's where most things go wrong is the fourth turn. It's either the first or the fourth turn is usually where things go wrong. In most cases, from my experience of watching and coaching hammer. All right, and another disadvantage is... Oh no, actually I think I just went over all the disadvantages. There isn't really too much disadvantages in doing a 4-turn or a 3-turn. It just takes different types of athletes. Another advantage though is that a lot more people can be successful at a 4-turn than a 3-turn. And that's why I think there's been a big shift in 4 turns, because you don't have to be as explosive. You don't have to be able to be a supreme athlete to throw with a 4-turn instead of a 3-turn. All right, so that's why. I think there's been a big shift, and the other reason is because of the extra turn, as I stated, you can throw further. So there's many different ways to look at when to do a 3-turn and a 4-turn. So why should you do a 4-turn? One, you can just throw further, on average, than a 3-turner. If you look at the top 25 in history in terms of hammer throw for the men's and women's historically, more of the men's, basically all of the top 25 are 4-turners. All right, and even the second furthest thrower ever, Sergei Livanov, he was a 4-turner and he threw 86 as well. All right, so yeah, on average, 4-turners do throw further. All right, and another advantage, as I stated, you don't have to be as athletic. It's just a little easier to set up the throw. It's a little easier to be a lot more consistent with the 4-turn. And number 5, I mean, just a lot more people can do a 4-turn, and maybe you don't have to move the ball as much as a 3-turner, and you can throw almost the same distance, just because you do have that extra turn to build more speed. Whereas a 3-turn obviously doesn't have a 4th turn to do that. All right, so yeah, those are the reasons why you should either pick a 3-turn or a 4-turn. All right, most people do the 4-turn, but if you're going to take anything away from this video, I do truly believe, just like in shot put, I believe that any very beginner should start with the glide shot. All right, and if you want me to make a video on why you should be a glide shot putter or a spin shot putter, then let me know in the comments. I'll probably just make one anyway, just because I like actually making these videos. But just like that, I do believe that every beginner should learn to be a 3-turner first before a 4-turner. All right, because one, you don't have to worry about an extra turn. 3, it teaches you how to just move the ball. All right, and you don't have to be as technical with a 3-turn as a 4-turn. All right, because the start of it isn't nearly as complicated as the start of a 4-turn. The toe turn can complicate some things, although once you get used to it, I mean, you don't really think about it. But for a beginner, it's just easier to think about. And for a beginner, you don't really want to introduce a toe turn, because you don't want them to get used to turning on the ball of their foot in hammer. For obvious reasons, because that's bad. Unless you're a toe turner, unless you're a 4-turner. But once you hit that second turn, you should be on your heel. So it just teaches you that. The way I think about it is the 3-turn is just basically taking out the toe turn and just starting on your second turn. All right? That's just, well, I don't know why I said that. That's just, I guess, obvious. Because it's a 3-turn, but you're taking out a turn. I don't even know why I said that. But yeah, these are really the reasons why, I believe. So to sum up, and I know I said this was going to be a short video, but now it's going to be a 20+ minute video because I'm just a rambler. All right, so if you actually stuck through to this time, why you should be a 3-turner. 1, you're really explosive. 2, you're a beginner. And 3, you throw a weight throw as well, and that's mainly for collegiate throwers because I don't. Well, I guess high schoolers do throw weight, kind of, but it's not really that big of a thing compared to the collegiate scene. Why should be a four turner? One, it's easier to start the throw. Two, you don't have to be it's a lot easier for other people to throw further with a four turn than a three turn. And number three, it's a lot easier to be consistent with the four turn in terms because you don't have to start as fast and you don't have to push as hard, and it's a lot easier to set up a good rhythm with a four turn as well. And then yeah, those are the advantages really of both. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you want me to make whether you should glide or spin in shot put, or also another video that is I just thought of is if you should be a non-reverser or a reverser in discus. And yeah, other than that, see y'all later and hope you guys enjoyed.